Good day to everyone. It's my pleasure to speak with you today about how AI will impact PCI DSS assessments in the future. Really quick introduction. As was mentioned, I'm a senior manager at Schellman. I've been an assessor for over 13 years and a PCI assessor for over 13 years and a compliance assessor for over 18 years. Schellman, as a company, has been in operation for over 20 years. Based out of Tampa, Florida, we are the only CPA firm in America that specializes in compliance assessments. And we focus on SOC, ISO, PCI, high trust, FedRAMP, privacy, CMMC, penetration testing, and much more. So before there was AI, let's bring technology back a few hundred years. The invention of the printing press in about 1440 put scribes out of work. In the 1800s, 80% of American jobs were on farms. Today, it's 2%. Telephone was invented by Alexander Graham Bell in 1876. The internet was invented in the 70s. The World Wide Web was invented around 1989. And the jobs of the future, the AI era, will transform industry like we've never seen before. It will be a bit disruptive in every industry. I'd like to share with you two stories about the idea of disruption. So the first is a story from a technology conference that I attended last year, where the governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, shared with us how he visited the United Arab Emirates. And he visited the Minister of State of Artificial Intelligence. And he asked the Minister of State why it was important to name his title to have artificial intelligence. And he shared with him this story. Before the printing press, scribes, learned people, leaders would bring their knowledge and wisdom to Baghdad. And this happened over hundreds of years. Well, when the printing press was invented, Arab leaders decided that it would be better to ban the printing press than to let it run wild. It's a new technology advancement. And so for the next 250 years, that thought leadership that used to go to Baghdad went elsewhere. And he said, we will never again let technology pass us by. And for that reason, it was important to have the title Artificial Intelligence as a token of our commitment to never again let technology pass us by. In that same conference, another speaker, an executive director from the University of Utah Cancer Research Institute, talked about how AI helped them transform. They developed a machine learning program to look at scans of cancer. Now, before this imaging program had been developed, doctors used advanced imaging, MRIs, to identify cancer, and the accuracy rate was about 75%, meaning 75% was correct, positive, or correct negative, and 25% was false negative or false positive. With the use of a machine learning program, they were able to bring that success rate up to 90%. And that was with machine learning alone. Then, when doctors reviewed the results of what AI produced, they were able to bring that result up to 95% accuracy. Which is to say that when machines are coupled with humans, there is an amazing transformation that happens. And that's the kind of transformation that I want to talk to you about today. A Gartner survey of over 400 executive leaders, including CEOs, found that 21% believe AI will greatly impact their industry in the next 3 years. AI was cited among all technologies as the most disruptive technology. Generative AI will profoundly impact business, said Mark Ruskino. AI is reaching a tipping point, and CEOs fear of missing out competitively. Another article, Business Insider wrote this year that AI tools could heavily impact jobs, even replace some jobs. AI can automate mid-skill, mid-career tasks, which is a fancy way of saying it's good at doing things. The quote that I think is the right takeaway from this article is, we have to think about these things as productivity-enhancing tools as opposed to complete replacements. Here are some notable AI quotes. AI is set to drive economic growth by $15.7 trillion by 2030. Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google, said, AI is one of the most important things humanity is working on. It is more profound than, electricity or fire. Andrew Ng, co-founder of Google Brain and Coursera, said, just as electricity transformed almost everything 100 years ago, today I actually have a hard time thinking of an industry that I don't think AI will transform in the next several years. Just as a quick, interesting point, ChatGPT gained 1 million users in 5 days. It was the most explosive growth that had happened in any application ever, until Threads in July got 30 million users in 1 day. Well, no kidding, they had Facebook users to go off of. But it's interesting. AI really is a great interest. So let's talk about AI and what it is so we can understand it a little bit better. Artificial intelligence is a science focused on training computers to think and act like humans. There is a focused area of artificial intelligence called machine learning, which is focusing the AI program to do something very specialized. And after it's been trained, it can do that thing by itself without further training, even if it's provided with new data it's never seen before. Deep learning is a subset or additional focus of artificial intelligence and even machine learning, where you have layers of focused machine learning on specialized tasks. At the most basic level, AI uses algorithms to analyze and compare data. And comparison and prediction are fundamental in AI. Compare and predict. It uses extensive data sets. The best AI programs really need large amounts of data. They discern patterns. It enables them to predict and make data-driven decisions. A goal of AI is to create machines that can learn, adapt, and potentially surpass human capabilities in performing various tasks. Machine learning uses algorithms and statistical models to analyze data. All right, so you're probably familiar with ChatGPT. So ChatGPT was originally developed through human training. And I believe it developed such a good training model because it used the United Nations submitted reports and documents as a basis for a lot of its language learning. What's very interesting, though, is that ChatGPT no longer uses human training at all. It has millions and billions of parameters that are adjusted continuously, and that growth and learning is exponential every year. So just think, exponential. That's what's happening with ChatGPT and other machine learning programs or AI programs that are natural language processing. At a basic level, it has the ability to discern what is a cat or not a cat. To give you kind of an example, what I find fascinating about AI is it functions a little bit like humans. When we are looking at an image, we have a pretty good idea whether it's a cat or not a cat, right? But what if we see an image and we're not really sure? What happens? We probably would make a guess. What's the probability that the thing we're looking at is a cat or not a cat? Well, statistically speaking, for an AI, it's going to assign a probability, a mathematical number. And it would take a guess, very much like a human would. Well, machines are also very good at predicting things as far as statistics goes. So one of the examples that I thought was really good is when we form a sentence and we want to choose the next word in the sentence, well, AI can use a model to find the best word. And an example is, I am, and what's the next word that comes in a dictionary? Well, if a computer assigned a probability for every word in the dictionary, it turns out that 5% of the time, the next word after I am is happy. So, and the next most likely probability is sad, so with 3%. And then you could assign a probability to every other word in the dictionary. So that's a little bit like how AI works in general, is it understands mathematically what is going to come next, but it also is really good at mathematically understanding concepts in terms of a natural language processor. Artificial neural networks mimic brain functionality in machine learning. It's kind of like a virtual neuron. Neurons are tiny cells in our brains that store electrical impulses. ANLs use virtual neurons, or spaces where small pieces of information are stored. And ANLs use layers, much like our brains have compartmentalized functions that perform specialized functions and then share that information with other parts of our brain. Trained ANLs make predictions on new data by recognizing patterns from the training data, like classifying images as cats or dogs. Natural language processing, which is exactly what ChatGPT is, it can analyze, process, and generate natural language data. It employs machine learning, deep learning, and statistical methods to analyze human language data. And as I mentioned before, ChatGPT was originally human-trained, but it is no longer. When it was human-trained, that's supervised NLP, and once it gets past that, it's just NLP. So, I was thinking what I want to ask ChatGPT for this conference. And can you guess what question I would ask? What I asked was, ChatGPT, what are the requirement numbers in PCI DSS version 3.2.1 that require strong encryption? So this is actually I'm an assessor. I'm thinking like an assessor. This is the kind of a question that an assessor would ask. What are the requirement numbers that require strong encryption? Well, it turns out that ChatGPT is already trained on PCI DSS version 3.2.1, and it can give very good answers about PCI DSS version 3.2.1. And if you were to focus on these answers, you would find, like I did, that they are pretty accurate. But then I went and I asked ChatGPT about PCI DSS version 4. I asked ChatGPT, what are the requirement numbers in PCI DSS version 4 that require strong encryption? And it responded, I apologize for any confusion, but as an AI language model, my responses are based on a mixture of licensed data, data created by human trainers, and publicly available data. I have not been directly trained on PCI DSS version 4. Therefore, I do not have any real-time access to the specific requirement numbers in PCI DSS version 4 that pertain to strong encryption. This is the kind of answer you're probably going to get if you focus on PCI DSS version 4 because ChatGPT is not yet trained on it. I even used some tools like Ask Your PDF that integrate with ChatGPT as an API, and it still didn't do a very good job. It was very disorganized. So there will be a time when we'll be able to ask very detailed questions of ChatGPT on PCI DSS version 4, but that unfortunately is not the time yet. Something that ChatGPT is very good at is answering questions that are general in nature in terms of information security. So I'd highly recommend that you refer to ChatGPT if you would like to learn more about concepts like, is DES strong encryption? This is a very detailed and fair answer, and I like this. The answer is, it no longer is strong encryption. So let's talk about how AI will impact PCI DSS assessments. These are my thoughts, and this is my analysis based on what I'm seeing today. AI will have a significant impact across every industry. I truly believe that. Investments in AI will change how businesses prepare for PCI DSS assessments. Right now, you might be thinking, how is AI going to help me? Well, one of the things you can already do today is you can ask ChatGPT, what do I need to do to prepare for this or that, right? Again, PCI DSS version 4 isn't baked in yet to its training. But with some specialized queries, you can get the information that you need. My point is there's going to be investment in this where you're going to be able to use this within your business process. PCI DSS assessment, personal assistant. This is where AI is really going to help in the future employees to train on being the best assessors that they can be. Imagine that you're training new employees to be assessors. How would you do that? Well, normally you would hire them, you would assess where they stand currently in their skill set, and you would probably pair them, maybe shadow with an experienced assessor for a bit to train them. Well, what if you had an AI personal assistant that could be the personal assistant for the new assessor, and that personal assistant can answer all of the questions that you need that person to know, and also guide them step by step on what they need to do to become an assessor. And maybe not just a good assessor, but the best assessor from the firm, and model the best practices of your best employees, leveraging data from your best employees. There's going to be a private AI cloud. Now, data confidentiality is of the utmost importance. It is not going to be, we simply cannot be sending client data to ChatGPT. So there's going to need to be space that's private and confidential where we can do work with AI that keeps that data confidential. The only way to do that is to have a confidentiality agreement, and ChatGPT is not doing that. So what's going to happen is there's going to be investments that happen, whether it's from in the future, ChatGPT or others, to create private space where data can be interacted with from an AI engine and leverage for assessment processes. There's going to be opportunities for pre-assessments. This is where businesses can have their data reviewed by AI before the assessor even looks at it and provide direct feedback to the business on whether their processes are compliant. This would be fantastic for PCI DSS version 5 when that comes out in the future. There's the idea of a sandbox. This is where, think continuous compliance. AI's value is really going to come from automation. Automation is going to enable the business to have tremendous savings on labor and effort. So that automation is going to enable a sandbox review to find potential misconfigurations even before the assessor reviews it. You can have live reviews where the assessor is reviewing data live, whether it's live production or a replication of production. Automation is going to account for about 50% of the work effort involved. And that either means that assessment cost goes down, or more likely, assessment efficiency improves where clients get their reports much faster and with higher degree of confidence that the results of the assessment are accurate. From a client-facing standpoint, a digital personal assistant can provide the business with very specific information for them in how they can get ready for compliance. Imagine you're working with something like ChatGPT, but is focused on your business, and you can ask it very specific questions about you, your operations, and your business because that personal assistant already knows your business. And it already knows the PCI DSS. And it can give you targeted answers for you and your business on how you can get ready for PCI DSS. It's amazing to think about how that personalized assistance can help organizations get ready. And also, it streamlines the assessment process because now you don't have to ask the assessor for questions every time. You can just go to your personal assistant and get those answers before the assessment even begins. All right. This is my last segment, which is how can assessors prepare for future AI capabilities? The first step is to develop a solid understanding of AI. It's really key to understand what AI can do. What are the tools and techniques that are available? What is an emerging and best practice? There's going to need to be learning and study. Number 2, identify potential use cases for AI and PCI DSS assessments. Imagine all the ways that you'll be able to use AI. You can identify anomalies and outliers, predict future trends. Assessors should consider how AI can be used to enhance their existing processes and workflows, and this can be done even now. Number 3, build a strong data foundation. We know that AI needs large data sets. It's really important for assessors to understand that we should not be using client data for our data sets. We should be using generated synthetic data sets that emulate the properties and behaviors of actual client data. Assessors can also use AI models that have been pre-trained on large data sets and then fine-tune them for PCI DSS-specific tasks using non-sensitive data. Number 4, invest in AI tools. There aren't that many PCI DSS-specific tools right now, so the answer that you're probably going to find is that you're going to need to build. Organizations like GRC companies, you're probably listening, you are going to be at the forefront of this process too, because you're going to want to help your clients become prepared for their assessments, not just PCI DSS, but for every compliance assessment. I imagine they'll be heavily involved in this too, but tools will need to be developed. Number 5, collaborate with other IT professionals. It's really important for us to collaborate and network with each other, help each other understand what are the best tools that you are finding that are useful to you, that are helping you either be ready for a PCI DSS assessment or maintain compliance with PCI over time. It's really important to stay up to date and to network and to collaborate. In conclusion, PCI DSS assessors will be empowered with AI tools. We will actually be more capable than we already are to do more, to understand more, to have better analysis and reports. We will thrive with using AI. That slide that we had early on about jobs and AI impacting jobs, this is not going to impact our jobs. We are going to thrive using AI tools. AI tools will bring immense value to a PCI DSS assessment process for both assessors and clients. And we will have increased job satisfaction with AI because it will reduce the burden of the routine and mundane tasks that accompany the assessment process. I'm so much looking forward to AI and integrating it into our assessment processes. Thank you.